guys, I am Chris Kaler.
And I remember first Kyuujin cosplay, and today we're back again, guys, with Steins 0, episode 18.
Oh boy!
Mayuri died again!
Okay, so we didn't have a long conversation last episode because there were too many questions, and we're guessing that we're gonna have a lot of answers this episode, perhaps. So, okay, Suzu was about to go back in time. Mayuri asked for answers, so tell me what happens in the future. She knows that if she leaves things like this, she's gonna live a life of regret because she thinks that, well, she's not wrong either, but she thinks that she stopping Okarin from, trying to save Makise back then, that led to Oho and Kyoma's death, which is the guy she wants, she loves. And all that's left now is Okarin, well, Okabe Rintaro, and he's a sad shell of his former self, and it's not right. So she decided to go back with Suzuha to that moment, and I'm guessing stopping herself from stopping him.
We know that I think that she succeeded because we know that she's gonna slap him and say, you need to get a hang of yourself.
Well, yeah, in the actual timeline that's gonna succeed eventually, that's what she does. But we know there's a change because Suzu received a D-mail from 2025.
Yep.
Which is very soon to today, actually. Wow, it's not that far in the future now. Anyway, she received a D-mail from her dad, and he said, "You changed when you went back with Mayuri. You managed to change the timeline a little bit. So now we're starting Operation Arclight something like I don't remember the actual name of the plan, but that means there's something he wants to happen. But we did not have time to see what the plan was because they were attacked." And Mayuri got shot. Again.
And Kageri's there.
Yes, we saw one biker killing another biker, and we're thinking, who has a biker suit? Well, a lot of people, but who do we know that has a biker suit? So Moika could be dead.
Yeah.
If she has a biker suit. And because she's been looking around, trying to find Kagari, so maybe Kagari killed her. If it's her that showed up on the roof and saw Mayuri die, if it is, she's gonna freak out.
Or maybe that's Moika, but we don't know yet.
In any case, Mayuri got shot, Okarin got shot by Suzu. He's coming, so you'll see the whole thing, he'll freak out. And there's also been a something terrible happening to, basically the internet is being covered, no signal nowhere, people don't really know what's happening, and there's a lot of coded messages online about what's going on, and they figured out that one of the companies managed to access Amadeus's memories.
So basically, someone got the plans for the time machine.
Yes.
So the third war is coming.
Yes, it's happening right now. So let's jump in this episode and see how they can deal with this shit, and hopefully Mayuri come back to life. Whew,
she will. I know that she will, but how? That's the thing.
Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of these episodes, and check out our Patreon if you want to see the full reaction to this episode.
In the meantime, let's watch it,
Let's
guys.
go. I love this show. I love this fucking show. How did we watch this at first and not know?
She's not supposed to die. She's supposed to be in the future.
Oh, she will be.
Find Kagari and be her mommy.
This message is gonna be like he's suffering right now. He's grieving. This message is gonna be Makise from when he went back and she helped him through the trauma. It's gonna be helping him find the motivation to turn to his friends, and they can work on the machine together. Build something that they can send a D-mail, or they can send, I don't know, like they can send anything back, a message to stop this from happening, or tell them to go before that day. They can do so much because so much information was, that's the thing, like before he was fighting Faith. You can fight Faith, not like this. You need to trick it, basically, but he doesn't know that yet. But this is so much different. Basically, this is not something you cannot avoid. It's just that, I was saying at the beginning, he's afraid to get hurt again. Well, he got hurt again. And he's losing it. And he's losing it, and it's normal. But he's not alone. They're all with him. Well, not all of them, but most of them are with him.
Oh.
The machine is almost done. You know, he knows what to do. He's been there. They've got Maho. She's not been there, but she's got the intellect. She's kind of like a Makise 2.0. She can do this. Data is there. They can recreate the microwave. They can send a message back, and now they know what to expect. They are ready, and he will remember this timeline. So this is the best worst scenario we can have right now. It's not just Mayuri dies no matter what. It's, yes, they died this time, but if you know the date, if you know the day, if you know what to expect, if you know who not to trust, you can prevent it. Right? I'm not being too optimistic.
No, I mean, I'm gonna be optimistic with you. And don't forget that Daru just lost his daughter too.
Yes, but he's just like Okarin. He's gonna have to push through, and he will. He will, because I'm really optimistic here. But this is what I see them. This is what I know they have to do. You know, they both have to focus on what they can do to change what just happened, kind of like Okarin used to do. But don't let the trauma stop you from, you know, seeing that there's a chance to save them. Because he believes that if they die in a timeline, they're gonna die over and over again. Like, it's something he's been through before. He sees her dying here, and he's like, fuck, it wasn't supposed to be this way, and it wasn't supposed to be this way. That's the only confirmation he needs. When it comes to, does Mayuri have to die in this timeline? No, she's in the future. That's all he needs to know.
Why do you think that the time stopped and every cell phone didn't work? Not even just the cell phone, but everything just stopped working.
Well, I think it's just the companies and shit that, you know,
doing their
made it happen.
Tries and something, yeah.
Everything was coming to an end here, you know. They were gonna destroy the machine. They had knowledge of it being here. They had knowledge of what was going on. They came here to fight. They would destroy the machine, and then they would spend the next 20 years trying to recreate it again, and, you know, and stuff like that. I get what the professor tried to do. You know, he tried to basically give himself the opportunity to have it all for himself by knowing about it before everything happened.
Yeah.
But he did not expect Kagari to find strength inside herself while she was dying to stop him. Because if she had not stopped him, he would have left with the machine. I think he thought that he had her in his grip completely, and he got it wrong, because, I mean, a daughter's desire to help her mom is stronger than any brainwashing.
I've heard of mama beers before, but daughter's beer?
Daughter bear.
Daughter bear, yeah.
Yeah. Daughter's beers.
Sorry. My English is really bad tonight.
I don't know. Kagari's death was sad. It's the only reason I'm not letting, you know, in Steins Gate we are more sad by the trauma and the screaming and the heartfelt confessions, because we know that death is usually not permanent in this show. So, well, it's more what it does to the characters that survive that's saddening me, you know.
True.
But anyway, it was still very sad. And Mayushi finally taking charge and doing stuff, and, you know, actually saying to Okarin, you know, I love your mad scientist persona, but also saying, you know, I think I love you more. It's just the weight behind it. It's great. It's so great. Because
it's
I mean,
really huge and hard and selfless when you love someone and you know that technically that type of love will be only one side, because she knows that Okarin doesn't love her like that. He's in love with Maxi Kurise, yeah. But Mayuri loved him so much that she's okay. She's really sad about it, but she's okay that he's gonna be happy with Kurisu, and she needs to find a way for him to be happy again.
Sometimes it's enough, you know, when you know that a relationship won't go through, just to know that the other person is happy. But I mean, for me, her admitting, you know, she was saying, I like Okabe Rintaro, but I think I love Oho and Kyoma, and then saying the contrary to Okarin, because what does it mean when you say, you know what, I think I loved you before you were broken and stuff? What does it say to the person, you know? I think to say, you know what, I loved your personality, but I think I love you more. It's to say that no matter what happens to you, no matter what you go through, no matter how hurt or happy you are, no matter who you end up with, I'm gonna love you. So it doesn't matter. I think it means so much more. And it's a great confession. It's a great way for her to just leave him with these words, and perhaps it's gonna help, hopefully. But I think it's great that Mayuri finally stopped being, that girl who knows nothing about the story, and she's there and she's the victim of it all. She chose to be an actual participant. She chose to be a lab member, and it's saying a lot about her strength and her courage, because she said it herself. That's the thing. In this group, what does she bring? She brings a lot when it comes to emotional support.
She brings support.
Yes, but how would you feel to be surrounded, to be in this situation and be surrounded by hackers and scientists and people who know what they're talking about, and because of their knowledge, they can actually make a difference, and you want to help them because they're your friends, but you don't have the knowledge to do anything. You'd feel helpless. And it's great that she brings in support and morale and, emotional support, but then that probably doesn't make her feel helpful. That doesn't change the situation to her. So for her to actually find a way to do it by being the moral support is great.
But to be fair with Mayuri though, until now,
she didn't know
all the details. Mm-hmm. She learns somewhere in the past, like really soon enough.
Oh, but even then,
about some of the what happened and whatsoever. But
yeah,
she
but
didn't
when
know
she
everything.
said, when she learned the truth, and she cried and she screamed about how she couldn't do it and she couldn't do shit and stuff, and she felt responsible for what was going on because she stopped him from going back. That was after she learned the truth.
Yeah.
And it's learning the truth is great, but then what can you do to change it when you don't have the knowledge? So I'm glad that the others helped a little bit, but I'm glad that she found a way to do something despite her lack of knowledge in the field. Mm. Oh boy.
We do know though that she's gonna find a way, or maybe someone's gonna find a way to send maybe a email to her past self, so that she's gonna be able to not stop him from giving up, or maybe maybe a email, or she really went to the past and convinced herself that Okarin, you need to do something.
I don't know. It's
because
true
that's
that
what she does.
It's true that there's nothing different when it comes to her about, what was going on when Okarin came out in episode 23. But then in the first reality, she helped him. Well, she cuddled him and stuff. And in the other, she slapped him. So there's going to be a change between that. But I don't know if she actually sends herself something, or if it's just a product of Suzu also being different. Because she was not the same talking to Okarin back then than she will be later. It's not the same Suzu. Someone pointed it out in the comments, but the second Suzu knew that he had to fail in order to do the right thing and get the email and, see the video and change things. So she's not going to be as ruthless when it comes to shaking him up. So maybe that's why Mayuri didn't feel the need to support him. So it depends. Like, either she got something that changed her reaction, or it's just a product of all the changes.
Maybe both of them. Maybe that's the product of both of them going back to the past.
Maybe.
We don't know yet. We will see.
Well, right now they're not going to the past. Like, right now
they're not going anywhere. I know that.
Right now we need to save them. And then we need to learn. It would be nice to hear more about what was going on. Like, what change they did and why they sent an email back in time, or if it was just to confirm, going back changed something, so do it, maybe.
What do you think about the fact that we were right about
Professor? I love it. I love it because we get to watch this and not be surprised. It's not a huge surprise. They showed it to us. Like, we saw him older. It's just that I think our main disadvantage here is that we added much more to it than there really was.
I thought at first that maybe he went to the past and that's how he knew about everything, and so
we saw him in the future older. We saw an older version of him, so we were like, this is him. This is the him that we know in the present, and he just gets older and he does something to her. So I think we kind of grazed the actual truth, the complete truth, which was much simpler than what we came up with.
You know what? I think that the fact that Kagari went to the past create a really huge paradox.
No, but it was that's what he did.
With the song, and also with the professor, because if she wasn't in the past, she wouldn't have told the professor about his future self.
He knows that. He sent her.
I know.
He sent her, so of course it created a huge change. Like, he sent her to tell his past self about what was gonna happen in the future, and he brainwashed her so it would be easier for him to, you know, find her and get access to her memories and shit. So of course, I mean, there is a paradox. Kagari is a time paradox. We knew that from when, because of the song.
I know.
So, and to me, that, you know, we know that the paradox was not supposed to be happening. Maxe was saying, you know, a time paradox is impossible. Even Suzu was saying a time paradox is impossible. But we know that a time paradox is meant to be possible because this is kind of what he's gonna do to save Makise.
Do you think that they're gonna figure out about the time paradox? That there is one who exists and they find, oh, we can technically save both of them.
The thing is, but the thing is, we know where they're going, and we keep because of that, we see the clues of, oh, maybe that's gonna help, maybe that's gonna help. All of that, all of what we've seen are clues to them creating the video. It's just that they need to figure it out. It will happen eventually, but I mean, in 15 years. But for now, Okarin needs to find a motivation to save Mayuri and Suzu. So that's gonna happen, hopefully, next episode, please. Or else we'll wait for a few episodes and then we'll get a moment.
You know what? I really love Steins Gate and Steins Gate Zero, but those scary moments, like, we thought for sure that Mayuri was dead in the previous episode.
Yeah, but death is only temporary in this show. Sometimes
it still hurts.
Not,
it still hurts.
It does hurt, but not as much as in other shows when we know. Like, I feel like the first time she died, we freaked out. And then after that, we found out that, no, you can go back and try to save her and stuff, so
but
it helped.
But you couldn't, because she's
I know, but the first time she died, we freaked out, and then it happened over and over and over again, so we got used to it. Now I feel like I'm more scared of how it's gonna affect Okarin.
But, okay, the thing is, if he does send a D-mail though, is it gonna switch a timeline? Like it did in the first season?
No. Switching the timeline would be saving Kurisu. The thing is, Mayuri was not supposed to be on that roof. Because she survives in the future.
Yeah.
And honestly, none of what happened there was supposed to happen there. Suzu chose to go back earlier. The professor showed up and stopped her because he knew from Kagari what was gonna happen. Like, everything, what was supposed to happen was a fight that destroyed the machine. Suzu wasn't supposed to be, you know, well, she wasn't supposed to die here as far as we know. But even if she did, it doesn't change much from, you know, the timeline. Mayuri wasn't supposed to die because she is in the future. So this is not cemented in the timeline. No. So changing it won't change, like, the major timeline.
There's still hope.
I mean, of course there's hope. Anyway,
before we end though, I just want to go back to something that you said about scientists.
Oh,
and science in general.
I think it comes full circle though, because we go back to first season, first few episodes, we see that happy Okarin is like, ho ho, Ikiyama, I'm the mad scientist. Like, he loves it so much, and he wants to spread chaos and shit like that.
But once he's in front of an actual mad scientist, everything is not like pink and flowers.
But we talked about this in the first season. I think I remember us saying stuff like, you know, he says he's the villain, you know, he says he wants to spread chaos and that's why he's doing this. But when it comes to actually making the right decision and facing actual chaos, he doesn't want it. So, because it's a persona, that's the thing. He's always been playing this character, and once he's facing the actual truth, he hates it, and he wants to do the right thing. He wants to save his friends. He wants to stop chaos from happening. So he's not a true mad scientist. It's a persona. Ho-Ho and Kyoma, just what he wants to do is not what Okarin wants to do. But the personality that's around him is the personality that makes him happy because he's having fun.
Yeah.
So that's the Okarin we want. With the ideas and the motivations and the goals of Okabe Rintaro. So, and we had that at one point. We had that, and we want it again. we will get it again. but facing an actual mad scientist, and it's just scary because that just puts into perspective, what you were pretending to be. You pretended to want this, you pretended to be a mad scientist, but once, like you said, once faced with an actual mad scientist, you realize how crazy it is.
But you know what? You know what's technically difficult to accept, because science, just the idea of science,
He was right.
Is not bad in itself, because science could be beautiful, science could be really, really great, and it can also be really, really bad. And honestly, I know it's a bad thing to say this technically, but if it weren't for some maybe horrible experiment, we wouldn't be today as advanced, for example, and medicine and technology.
That's because what he said about scientists is true.
Where's the line between what's right and what's wrong?
Because what he said about scientists is true. Most scientists, and Makise was the same. The thing about scientists is that action reaction. That's the thing. They will make an action. They will do something that will create a reaction, and they want to study that reaction. That's all there is. They want to understand through their actions what's gonna happen. The only thing, and the worst is, I'm pretty sure that today actual scientists worked on time machines, tried to see if they could create one, tried to see if it was possible.
Don't say a word, we might get discovered.
But honestly though, I'm pretty sure that it's crossed people's minds and they try to do it, and the worst is, if it was actually possible and people managed to actually do it, we would have scientists like the professor who would do this despite the consequences, because they want to see just how far science would take them. It is curiosity at its worst. It's something that we know can happen, which is why he's terrifying, because he is very real in what he's saying. It's true, they turned it like he's a villain, okay? He's talking like a madman, he's talking like the most evil man and the ruler of worlds and shit like that, but what he's actually saying makes sense. He did it to see what would happen. And that's the core, it's at the core of what scientists want to do.
It's like there's nothing wrong to trying to see where things will lead, but you need to be able to accept that there's a limit somewhere.
Well, Okarin saw it. Okarin did it, and he stopped.
Yeah.
But
that guy no.
And some could argue he's more of a scientist than Okarin, because he's, sometimes you're too much in your head and not enough in your heart. He doesn't really care about the consequences because he just wants to see where it will lead him.
Yeah.
And we had even Amadeus with the memories of Makise was saying, if someone told me not to create a time machine but I had the means to create a time machine, I would create it. I would think about it, but I would create it, because it's all about, and she was saying it this too, it's all about finding out what happens. The only difference is that the professor had nothing to stop him, basically. Whereas Makise saw what it did to Okarin, she saw the consequences to people that she cared about, and that made her stop.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
you know what? All this started to remind me about the issue that we had a couple of years ago, about human cloning. Like, technically, we have the means to do it, and some people did clone human organs for transplant and stuff, but people are putting a restraint, like.
There's an ethical question. Is it right? Is it wrong? We talked about this too in season 1 about is it right to play with time and stuff like that, and the changes you make. If for you it turns out great, fine. But if you change something and it turns out wrong for someone, like even Makise and Mayuri, the baby. You don't see our cat, but I mean, okay. Makise was supposed to die in that first timeline that we were in, and then she didn't, but instead Mayuri died. Mm-hmm. So if your goal, if you don't know Mayuri and you just want to save Makise, then great, but you don't realize that you're also killing someone else, So there's always a question of, is it right, is it wrong? Which is why playing with this should never happen. You should never do it. But it's not crazy to imagine that people like the professor would exist and push the boundaries that far. I mean, like, that's why we ended up with stuff like the atomic bomb. You know, you know you're creating something that could turn out to be terrible, and you do it.
Yes and no, because Einstein, when he found out
he hated
the
it after.
equation, technically the equation in itself is not bad, but people use it because they want to create warfare and weapons and to use
But
it
it's
at
still
war.
he still lived with the.
He understood that he found something really, really powerful and terrible in the wrong hands, and people use it wrongly.
But he still went there, you know, he still created it, and he still shared it with people and stuff like that. That's the thing. Even the professor, you know, he's doing this right now because he wants to see the reaction of what he wants to see the results. But if the results end up affecting him deeply, he's gonna regret it. Yeah. But the worst has been done. That's what happens with science. They push the boundaries without really thinking about, not all of them, but the ones that we see in TV shows at least. They push the boundaries in order to see what will happen. And then once the worst has been done, it's too late. They don't ask themselves, is it ethically correct? Is it morally okay to you know, pursue this? They're just interested in what it's going to do.
Yeah.
Which is a very curious and human, you know, thing. It's just that, you know, in TV shows, of course, they had to make him the villain and shit. But it's not too far-fetched to imagine someone that exists that would do this, you know, if with the knowledge of time machines. Anyway.
All right. So let's go back to saving Mayuri and Suzuha.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode with us. If you want to see the next one right away, it is on Patreon already. You can check it out if you want. The link is in the description below.
And if you don't, wait for the next one to be out on YouTube, which will be next week, guys. So see you then.
Bye.